We are live. Hello, how's everyone doing today? It's GMD with very special guest, fellow liberal content creator Vince Wilson. Hey Vince, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I am doing all right. I had a show yesterday, and now I got one today. So
Good. Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to kind of talk with you a little bit about kind of our views and the liberal movement and what my vision of that is.
All right. So for people who don't know who you are, could you give a little bit of a background as to who you are, what you stand for, everything you believe in your story?
Absolutely. So I am the Vince Wilson Show. I am a former conservative who moved over to the liberal side. Growing up, I was conservative. I grew up in a very conservative household, coming home every afternoon to Fox News being on and not knowingly being indoctrinated. And I say that because a lot of the times growing up, you tend to find that growing up, you tend to not realize how indoctrinated you're really becoming. And that's kind of what ended up happening with me in my journey. So when I ended up switching over from gaming content to political content, I ended up debating and trying to look for answers as to why this makes sense rather than looking at the facts and letting the facts guide me. So long story short, around 21, I ended up becoming a liberal, and I ended up coming out as liberal, and that was a whole nother thing. And I now do videos on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch under the Vince Wilson Show. I cover a lot of current events. I'm not one to get into a whole bunch of the drama stuff and everything else like that. I tend to not really try to get into, even quite frankly, a lot of foreign affairs stuff or legalese. Too many times I've seen content creators dive really, really narrowly into these little niche areas. And 9 times out of 10, just from a content perspective, it can get kind of boring. So I try to do my best with my content to kind of consolidate and give you a very concise but overarching theme as to what you need to know about today's current events.
All right. So again, I'm also a liberal creator trying to, spread good, positivity, liberalism, freedom. Human rights is my big thing. I am big on human rights. I believe every person deserves the right to live the way they see fit, as long as it's not hurting anybody else. That is those are my core beliefs. So we're gonna start with current events. I know you said you're a current events guy.
Sure.
I have a current event, the White House drama, not streamer drama. That is insane right here. Don't know if you can see the screen.
I can, yeah.
Mr. Swalwell, the guy who was a Democrat, who dropped out due to sexual assault who quit due to sexual assault allegations, allegedly slept with Stephen Miller's wife.
Interesting. I have not heard that. That is an interesting
I believe it.
Argument.
I don't think anyone would want to willingly be with Stephen Miller. I'll tell you that. Well, she's only with him for power. I'm not sure what women find what women find attractive in men. But I don't see how anyone can find Stephen Miller attractive.
No, I mean, and this is kind of
suck, right? I still don't get it. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not the expert here, okay? But Stephen Miller, a guy who said torture is a celebration of life, his quote, actual thing he said, fucking Google it. He said that. He looks like Roger the Alien from American Dad. Don't know if you know the reference, but the chat might know the reference. But yeah, apparently his wife Katie was sleeping with Swalwell.
Yeah,
she slept allegedly with Elon too. So, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of transactional things that happen in Washington. I mean, we could talk about politics. Like Melania and Trump, right? I mean, that's kind of the stereotypical, Washington playbook. And as far as Eric Swalwell, and this is interesting too, because I think when we look at these characters, hold on one second.
Go ahead.
Okay, never mind. No, I think that like the thing is that when we look at these varying characters. Oh, hold on one second. Oh, I'm out in the garage and I have somebody like coming to give a package. Hold on.
All right, go ahead. Take a little brief break. I'll entertain the crowd until then. Don't worry, or unless you can go get your package.
Yeah, let me go grab it real quick.
Okay,
Give me 1 minute.
Right back.
Give me 1 second.
So, chat. Sorry for the break. Anyway, I'm going to show you the actual quote from Mr. Miller. Problem with these live streams is a lot of them drag on and do some bullshit and don't do anything. I'm trying to give y'all quick, concise, to the point shit, right? So I don't just sit around, which is what I'm doing now, and I apologize for that to my people viewing. My computer is freezing. Just give me a second. Anyway, go ahead and talk about your transactions in Washington.
Yeah, so there's a lot of transactions that tend to take place in Washington. I mean, that's just kind of the way that it goes. I'm not totally surprised that we're seeing. Isn't Eric Swalwell a Democrat, right? He was a Democratic representative.
A Democrat. Yep, he was a Democrat.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of my thing too. Is when I was doing a lot of debates in regards to like communism and left wing, I got into it in TikTok, which by the way, TikTok is full of left wing people. I will say that it's the establishment is where we have an issue. So this kind of touches on two different areas, right? One of them touches onto the. One second. Hold on 1 second.
Again, I apologize for that, viewers of my show. I'm not sure if Eric is not Eric, Vince. I'm sure I'm tripping. My bad. Not sure if Vince is live, but Vince is taking care of some matters. In the meantime, I'm going to promote this to the land, to the men and women at the land.
Apologies. No, it was. I thought the package had come, and then next thing you know, the door actually shows up. Okay, we're good now. So, all right. No, I think it is interesting though to see kind of how this touches two different areas. I've not heard about this. I'm not surprised, to say the least.
So I'm going to ask you a few questions. You said you used to be a former conservative, right?
Right. Yep.
What was the switch? Was it J6 or was it something else?
Yeah, so for me to going from a MAGA conservative to a liberal really started around J6. That was the pivotal moment for me. I vividly remember sitting there watching this unfold, and I couldn't help but sit there and go, this doesn't look good. And then what was really disappointing was seeing how these MAGA pundits initially came out and like criticized us. They're like, this isn't good. This isn't something we should be celebrating, only to then see where they started to kind of like justify it because that's the party line to toe. And there's numerous videos out there that you can find of numerous right-wing, like say Fox News hosts and things like that. They're going, no, this was kind of legitimate. And the crazy thing to me is I'm still seeing that today where a lot of people, oh, never mind, it's old. What the heck? Sorry. My dog's going nuts thinking someone's at the door still. Mm-hmm. Okay, no, they're not. But that's the thing is like I saw a bunch of MAGA. I still see where they were trying to defend Trump and saying, well, Trump didn't mean this or Trump didn't mean that. But then when you look at it, Trump now has pardoned a lot of the J6ers. He's now sat there and tried to create the J6 slush fund. He's now numerous times said that they have been wrongfully prosecuted. For somebody who says that Trump has condemned their behavior, it's been anything but. And I'm reinforced in that position of going, hey, I made the right decision to leave MAGA. I realized at that point that there was no such thing as facts. It was all feelings. And I'm glad that I had moved away from that movement, and I'm now a liberal. Albeit liberal kind of has this, and this is why when we talk about the Liberal Action Network, liberal has become this really negative kind of nasty word.
It's a stigma. You're a liberal.
It's a stigma, right?
You're a fucking liberal, you dirty lib. Like from the far left, they think that the far right uses liberal as a leftist. The far left uses liberal as you're lazy, you're too much of a pushover to the right wing or whatever, right?
Exactly.
That's kind of
the issue, right? That's kind of the issue, right? Is like when we're looking at it is that the right calls the left liberal, and what they mean is they're pointing specifically to, say, the DSAs, the communists, things like that. But they're not talking about us, but we're now latched onto that when we don't necessarily adhere to that or believe in that or anything like that. But then we get attacked from the left when the left looks at us as if we're no better than right wingers, which is ironic because, especially given in this sentiment, that used to be libertarians that would get that label. That libertarians would be the ones that we would always sit there and go, oh, you're not really centrist, you're just right wing, which I would think is true. But it's just interesting that libertarians used to catch a lot of that flack, and lately, over the past few months especially, us liberals have now kind of found ourselves in this weird tug of war of going, first of all, we're not associated with the left, and we're definitely not associated with the right, we're just center left. And then I've had this accusation be levied against like me, where they're trying to latch on the establishment Democrats to liberals. I think there's a difference. Establishment Democrats are people like the old guard, right? The old guard being Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, those kind of Democrats where they have no spine. They are the establishment. There are still some liberals out there that we can try to get behind, and try to create this new guard, so to speak,
Yep. That's why we have Liberal Action Network. But
bingo.
We're gonna take a seat to that. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later. But in the meantime, another news: Mr. Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's lawyer, is the AG from one vote. One vote.
Bill Cassidy, man, yeah,
Bill Cassidy. Little bitch, Bill Cassidy.
This story really, really frustrates me to no end. When we talk about Trump's corruption, when we talk about Trump being uniquely bad for America, this is one of those that we can look at and go, we have Donald Trump's former and still personal defense attorney now confirmed as AG. I want to be very clear, as objective as I possibly can be. To be clear, acting AG versus official AG are very narrow, right? I mean, most of it has to do with the grandiosity that is associated with it, and the I guess when you go to court, they look at it as some kind of a decorum of like, okay, hey, now you got the label, you've been approved, now we can give you some bit of an authority. But they're acting so far outside of their authority that any kind of label is not going to mend what's going on.
I do have a question to ask all these that I always want to know about these Republican senators and House representatives. What the fuck does Trump have on them? What the fuck? He must have them he must have all their dirty little secrets in their little diaries. Dear diary, today I got elected to Senate. And Donald Trump must have found every single one, has it in his little room or a little safe, read every single one, took pictures.
It comes down to one thing. It's money. So what ends up happening here with Bill Cassidy, I wholeheartedly believe, even though he's been primaried out, that he's going to still try to vie for re-election at another point in time. So what he's trying to do is trying to get in Trump's good graces. That's my belief of what's going on here, so that he can get Trump's endorsement. That's the reason why we're seeing a lot of these MAGA candidates ultimately capitulate to Donald Trump, is because he has a massive war chest that they're able to use. We've also seen where even though Trump is uniquely disliked, somehow his endorsement carries weight. We're still seeing this with Republican primaries, by the way, where Republican primaries, we're seeing the Trump-backed candidate actually doing incredibly well. So that's an important note to mention as well when we talk about why these Republicans are still falling in line. It is incredibly worrisome, though, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about deep separation of powers, and where Congress has all but capitulated their authority to Donald Trump. And the only thing that's really holding it up is the Supreme Court. And something that bothers me is we live in this era now where we rely on one person to uphold our democracy, our institutions. You know, think about it. Mike Pence on J6. When we think about what happened in the 14th Amendment with Amy Coney Barrett, when we think about this vote, which is consequential, like Todd Blanche, one person came down to the voting thing of that. We think about the War Powers Resolution and Fetterman. There are numerous instances throughout the past 4 or 6 years where we have seen one or two people hold the line to what could have been full-blown authoritarianism. And unfortunately, not always are they going to hold, and we saw this with Todd Blanche. Now, the problem here is that the way to impeach him would not be to get a simple majority. I believe in order to impeach the sitting acting attorney general, you need 3/4 of Congress, and that's just not going to happen. So, you know, now we're stuck with Todd Blanche, and the only thing we can do is that use this to get more Democrats in office, get more.
We need a blue wave like Noah's fucking Ark. Okay, the blue wave 100%. Needs to take over the entire fucking country. Hopefully my state can get some sense and take Senator Roger Marshall, who doesn't even fucking live in the state, but somehow represents Kansas. I don't know how. Yeah. I never voted for that guy. At least I could say 100% I never voted for Roger fucking Marshall. I can promise you that. Adam Hamilton, do your thing.
And this we got another article here. What was this one?
This one, I'm not sure if you're taking with the whole Michigan situation, the Michigan drama.
I am, yeah.
Mr. Abdul El Sayed won against Stevens and McMorrow. I'm glad he won. I wanted Sayed to win the primary. A lot of libs will disagree with me there, but I think that this guy is probably the best fit for the general.
So I'm glad you mentioned this because I think, and this is something that I've been really wanting to kind of like parse through with the Liberal Action Network, is
I'm team vote blue. So
no, that's fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that, and I've tried, like, as I sat there and got into a debate this morning with a bunch of TikTokers, I've kind of refined my opinion as best as I possibly can when it comes to AES or Abdul Asleed. One of the things with him that I think is good, the good and the bad, right? So the good is he ran on simplistic messaging. I've also kind of done a little bit more thought process on the Hassan drama.
This association with Hassan was not great.
Well, so there's a couple of things to this, and we can approach this from a very objective manner. I think Abdul El Sayed, so far, I'm one not to really point strings. Like, I don't do the whole dots on a map and I want to see strings. I want to see actual meaningful connection here. My guess is that Abdul El Sayed partnered with Hassan to garner in those youthful votes. That was his intention. Because if you notice his policy positions, they're not typically as extreme as, say, was it Francesca Hong over there in Wisconsin? He doesn't have those real radical beliefs. And a lot of what he has given is a lot of populist speak. It's a lot of Medicare for all. It's a lot of, hey, we want to get big money out of politics. Very platitude-like policy positions, but they're not aligned with what Hassan believes. However, it is important to note that who you align yourself with will be used against you. We saw this with Haley Stevens in AIPAC. We've seen this with him and Hassan. We see this even, by the way, on the right when it comes to Trump and far-right radical groups who have backed Donald Trump. It's important when we look at these characters that we try to draw the connection. So, for example, with Haley Stevens in AIPAC, listen, I understand AIPAC is a nebulous term that gets way overused, and it's convenient when it works. When it doesn't, then it goes away. But you could probably make an argument of where Haley Stevens has maybe funded Israel or something like that, and then you could probably draw the connection there. Abdul El Sayed is an interesting one because the connection seems to only be by proximity rather than direct endorsement. Now, I'm willing to be changed on that. Now, I don't want my observations to be taken that I support Hassan. By every metric, I think Hassan is a uniquely controversial figure.
I think we have a similar opinion on this issue. I think we do.
Yeah.
Hassan Piker is a fucking cancer to the American left wing and the Democratic Party.
Agreed. Oh, I agree with that.
I understand why some people support him. I don't care for him personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of my thing, right? Is that when we look at, by the way, Wes is a good friend of mine, by the way. Yes, Wes CSAT, I made him go back a long time. He's a good friend. He said, don't be changed. Wes, by the way, is somebody who's tried to get me to kind of move further left, and he's succeeded on some aspects. But nonetheless, like, I think the thing about El Said is that we're seeing where we need to not give into the left or to the right, I mean,
hey, Wes,
and give them easy layups. We have to give them more work. We got to let them work harder for this. And that's kind of my problem that I have with the Hassan thing, is that when you bring them together, it damages the movement. And it does make me wonder who voted for Haley Stevens, and wondering if that reasoning is because of the image of communism. I apologize. It's thundering outside. My dog's going nuts. I am so sorry. This is really not professional. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
If the dog barks, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I do like El Sayed too. As a moderate center-left liberal, I like Abdul El Sayed a lot. I think he brings a fresh energy to the party. Anyway, what we're going to do is we are going to watch him snap back at Donald Trump. I'm not sure if you can hear the audio. Let me know if you can.
We'll see.
Abdul, Donald Trump seems to be a gift to the Republican Party. What do you say to that?
I'm a gift to the state of Michigan, God willing, and hope to win this election.
And he says, if you pardon the language, you're full of What do you say to that?
At least I don't let mine go in the middle of the Oval Office.
Abdul, Donald.
Yeah.
This is the thing I have with AES. This is the thing I have with AES. I watched the debate with Haley Stevens, and the one thing that I could not get over was he sounds good. He's very polished, right? Charismatic, has a very good appeal to him. The one issue I have is there substance behind it? For example, Trump ran on this idea of bringing back, American jobs and make America great again. And a lot of flowery language that we would arguably say, hey, this is probably well, maybe not me, but the MAGA side at least says, hey, this works. I like this platitude. No new wars. Very simple, 3-word slogan. But when he got in office, he did something different. It's the same thing I worry about with AES, is that he's running on very flowery language, very admittedly good, snappy comebacks. My concern is how will that translate into meaningful progress inside of Congress? Because here's the reality. Trump's not going to sign Medicare for all. He's not going to sign any kind of minimum wage increase. He's certainly not going to sign any kind of legislation to take money out of politics, like big corporate donors and stuff. None of that stuff's going to get done in Congress, at least within the next 2 years. Maybe when we get a Democratic president in 2028, we'll have a change of heart here. But here's the interesting thing to that, though. In 2028, I think you have a much bigger likelihood that you're going to get a more moderate president. And listen, maybe it's not a popular take. Maybe most people don't agree with this, and that's fine. I think there is a very, 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 very real possibility, based upon current polling, based upon name recognition. Those are the two I'm basing it upon, not my feels, that we could have a Kamala Harris ticket in 2028. It would put AES supporters into a very, very precarious position. And I think that that's where we're heading. And so we'll see. But again, yeah, go ahead.
What would you think of a Kamala Harris AES ticket?
Well, here's the reality, though, is that allegedly, and this is coming from Haley Stevens, he's already trying to see about running a national ticket, running for president. I don't know how true that is. Again, I'd have to parse through that, but I believe Haley Stevens mentioned this in the debate. If true, I worry, and this is my worry here, that AES is, and dare I say, in this position for the wrong reasons. From my understanding, he tried to run for governor That didn't work. He then ended up trying to run for Senate, and now he successfully got the primary candidacy. What will ultimately be determined here is in the general. But I think, you know, and I don't want to be mistaken because, and here's how we have to look at this. I worry people are overselling AES because they believe that it's the unique DSA policies. I think it's a whole host of things. When you shine the national spotlight onto a particular race, you're going to typically get higher turnout. Add to that Hassan's controversy, yeah, you're going to get, it's the Streisand effect.
Speaking of Hassan's controversy,
yeah.
let's ask, what is the deal with Piker? I don't love him, but what's the thing that makes him actually bad? Yes. Well, for starters, he said 9/11, America deserved 9/11. Actual quote. Some Hassan supporters like to argue context that are the actions of that we've taken in the Middle East led to the motivation of the attacks, but that's not context. Saying America deserved 9/11, Hassan Piker quote, is really fucked up, no matter what the fucking supposed context.
Yeah, West isn't gonna. West isn't gonna. He's gonna say that doesn't bother. But here's the other thing too. I would argue is not even just that. There's been many statements in which he has said that, for one, he's shown support for certain groups. I'll put it that way. In my TikTok mind, because the TikTok you have to use certain TOS, certain groups. He's also called for violence on those who do not, or I believe, are liberal or right wing. He has called for. He's shown a pro-China sentiment, and he's also and he's absolutely shat on Democrats. The most recent one I could think of is when he did the Young College Democrats speech, in which he wore a Mao-like outfit. I'm saying Mao-like, but nonetheless, he wore that. And I think it's the person who he is that really ties to that. And also, I find it interesting. I don't know why this is, but a lot of which by the way, Abdul El-Sayed is not poor by any stretch of the means. He is very wealthy in a lot of different regards. I find it incredibly interesting how a lot of the people who, again, Abdul El-Sayed doesn't necessarily hold maybe the same sentiments as Hassan. Rather, it's the baggage that comes with it. But nonetheless, typically it's those that are a lot more wealthy that tend to push a lot of these things. But yeah, that's been my. I know you don't, Wes. I know you don't have problems with some of this. Yeah, but yeah, the thing is,
Wes like a far leftist.
Yeah, he is. Me and him, we go back years ago. I knew him when I was a conservative, so I'm sure he's happy that I'm at least a liberal, even though he may not like liberals. But he appreciates me as a liberal.
The leftists and the liberals need to work together to stop the fucking MAGA party from taking everything over.
It just sucks sometimes when I know that I'm going to sit here, and I will still today to this moment say vote for AES. I may not think that he's going to be very effective over the next 2 years, but that could be a very prominent reason why you should vote for him. However, it sucks knowing that I'm going to say that, but I don't know if I can say the same for the far left. I don't think that the far left coming into 2028 is going to say the same thing. I think the far left in 2028 is going to end up not supporting him. And the ironic thing about all this is that Kamala Harris, so here's how funny this is. Kamala Harris endorsed AES. Remember the uncommitted movement who cried about Kamala Harris and her particular stances on Israel, yet she endorsed AES. Okay, if we're going to do this whole thing about AIPAC and Haley Stevens, could we not do the same thing about Kamala Harris endorsing AES? Furthermore, if Kamala Harris now gets the nomination in 2028, what excuses are going to come up from there? That's kind of the thing that really bothers me here is that I don't mind it. I'm not going to be petty about it. I'm not going to say don't vote for AES. I'm still going to hold true to what I believe, but I don't know if I can trust those who are saying, well, just vote for the blue because, the other side is worse. I'm like, one, I didn't hear that in 26 or 24 rather. I'm not going to buy into it now. And I don't know if I'm going to buy into it in 28. I think you're going to sell me on a whole crock of crap. So.
the problem is we need everyone to everyone to come out for the Democrats, right? We cannot have more Trumpy Trump. We cannot have J.D. Vance in office, Peter Thiel's special friend in office, Mr. Vance. We also can't have someone who's like a Fuentes in office or a Fishback. We can't have one of those guys in office, right? Our country will actually go down, will balkanize if that were to happen.
Well, and to Wes's point here about we can and they did, you're not the first person that's a self-avowed communist or someone on the left who has said this. And I think the one thing that kind of gets me a little frazzled here is it's amazing how us in the liberal space catch massive flack for mildly criticizing AES. But we saw very charged language in 24 about Kamala Harris to the extent of them saying that they were not going to vote for Kamala Harris. If I said that now in my liberal spaces that I would not vote for AES because of his affiliation with Hassan, I would be called anything and everything under the sun and lambasted and harassed.
You would deserve it.
Do I?
If you were not supposed, you would deserve it. Yep.
Yeah.
Just like the never Kamala leftists who either didn't vote or voted for fucking Jill Stein.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Green Party only exists to undermine the Democrats.
Now, I want to be very clear because I think Vote Blue No Matter Who, again, has kind of fallen to the wayside of like ACAB, right? Which is, it has been taken literally. The Vote Blue, there we go. The one thing is that like when we talk about Vote Blue No Matter Who, it's always with an asterisk. There is a limiting factor. I think most would agree to that. Is like, for example, I don't believe that, like, for example, Graham Plattner, right? Like, we don't have time for Graham Plattner's drama. Yeah, we don't have time for his drama.
Thank God he dropped out. I didn't like him. I wanted Mills to win the primary, but I would have, before the stuff came out about Plattner, I would have sucked it up and supported him. And if I was in Maine, before the allegations, I would have emphasizing, before the allegations, I would have sucked it up and voted for him in Maine if I had to. I never liked the guy. I didn't want him to be the nominee from the jump. I'm glad he dropped out. The Troy train, Troy Jackson, okay, all aboard the Troy train. We need to take down Susan Collins in Maine. Yeah. And we need the blue Noah's Ark wave.
I mean, I think that's kind of the point too. Like for me, is we still need to get out.
The Green Party West, not just the far left in general. I'm not talking necessarily about the far left. I'm talking about the Green Party specifically. Jill Stein and her exist only to undermine the Democrats.
Yeah. No, I think and this is kind of where I've said that I've taken some progressive policies that I tend to think that are probably okay. For example, like Supreme Court reform, I would say that we definitely need some kind of a Supreme Court reform in some form or fashion. Do I think that we should go to the route of, when I say pack the Supreme Court, I mean we should expand it maybe. I've bought into that ideology more. I think when we talk about, certain, I do agree we need something different. Do I think that we need Bernie's policies? No. And actually, if you look at, that's what I was trying to get at earlier. I totally went off on a sidetrack. When we look at what's going on in these DSA-backed races, when there's not a national spotlight on them, they tend to do pretty terrible. And I think that is important to look at. I think AES was unique in that he had Hassan, in that he had the national spotlight. But if you look at races like Cori Bush, didn't do too well. And I think that's kind of important too, is when we look at these races, why are DSA candidates either losing, or why are progressive candidates, by the way, which are doing better, winning? And when we talk about winning or losing, we need to talk about it in a light of where they're winning and losing. We talk about DSA candidates losing, I'm referring to purple and red districts where it matters. If a progressive or a socialist or a communist candidate wins in a deeply held blue district or city or state or city council or school board, which there are many, that means almost nothing to me. Where I want to see the progress and where the real litmus test is when they can actually win purple and red districts. And we have not seen that with DSA candidates. We've seen some of that with progressives. Progressives have done better. So we're making, there's a trend towards that area. But I also urge people, and this is where I'll kind of land a little bit. I want to urge people, don't get overly confident. When you start to think that you're winning because DSA policies are popular or communist policies are popular or progressive policies are popular, you're overestimating who the normie candidate is. The normie candidate is not going to be someone who is overly politically involved. You have to understand the economy is terrible. Healthcare costs are going through the roof. College costs are going through the roof. So when you look at those three areas, that's the three issues that matter the most to Americans. And they're going to look at their incumbent candidate, namely one of the reasons why I think Haley Stevens may have lost. And they're going to say, hey, for example, Haley Stevens, you were in Congress. You didn't do too well. What's going on here? I'm going to vote for someone else. Likewise with with Cori Bush. Cori Bush has been in office for years. Didn't do too well. So before the DSA or the left or the far left gets excited about these particular candidates, let's make sure we understand why they're losing. Just because they win doesn't mean they're winning on their merits or winning on their policies, but they could be winning on the sheer fact that the economy is just really bad and normies don't want to vote in somebody who's already had their chance and are not doing anything.
So the House just recently, the Senate just recently passed additional sanctions to Russia.
Yeah.
I believe it's called the Lindsey Graham bill, which in honor of Mr. Graham,
that one,
who passed away recently.
Yeah, the thing about Lindsey Graham that I think is uniquely disgusting is just how many spineless Republicans had no problem using Lindsey Graham's passing for political gain, right? The minute,
basically.
Like within 12 hours. Yeah, within 12 hours, you had Trump saying Lindsey Graham would have wanted to pass the Save America Act. Lindsey Graham would have wanted this. Lindsey Graham, I was like, y'all, Lindsey Graham's been gone for like 12 hours. We're not even like, you got to give it a little bit of time. The counter argument to that would be saying, well, the left doesn't wait for, when there's a school shooting to talk about gun policy and stuff like that. But it's always the same thing. When we talk about the right, they love to kind of do this double standard thing where they'll try to censor the left and tell the left not to engage in certain rhetoric, only then to like the next time that it's something that's on the left, they'll quickly jump on it. We've seen this with Trump, and anytime there's been an attempt at him or something like that, the right jumps on the rhetoric train. It's insane. It's okay for them to do it, but not the left. That's why I've said for this primary season, I don't care about the right's rhetoric. They're going to be the Islamophobic, xenophobic, any phobic under the sun. I don't care about them. I don't want to hear from them. Don't tell me how to govern my party, and I won't tell you how to govern yours. Well, I will tell you how to govern yours because your policies and positions are absolutely trash. But yeah, I don't want you coming over and telling me until you fix your own side.
So for you said you grew up conservative, and you voted in 2016, correct?
I sure did, and in 2013.
For the 12 for the previous for Romney in the previous
election. It would have been 12, yeah.
Or 20. So did you
Anyways,
vote for the 2016 primary?
Not in the primary. So my votes, my track record.
Cruz guy?
What?
Were you Cruz?
No, well, so here's the fun. Here's my track record. Yeah, so here's my track record. It's Romney, Trump, Cruz, Trump. Did not vote in 22. And then in 24, I voted for Kamala Harris and, oh goodness, who's the guy that ran in Texas? Colin Allred? Yeah, Colin Allred. Voted for him in 24. This year, I have to check my voter registration to make sure I'm good, which I should have already done.
You're a Texan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Please get people to vote for fucking Tallarico. Please get people to vote for Tallarico over pedo-protecting Paxton.
See, and I think that's where we're very positioned in a good way. I think we have a very, 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 very real now. Not even just Tallarico. We have Hinojosa, who is the Democrat running for
Yep.
Texas governor.
Over
There is a
Governor
very yes, and there is and she is gaining in the polls. There's actually between the I think it's the AG, the governor, and the Senate. We're seeing a very close race for Democrats, which is something wild to think of. Is that there is a possibility? I'm not saying it's going to happen. A very real possibility. You could get a Tallarico, Hinojosa, and a new blue AG all in Texas, which would be wild to see. I don't know when the last time that happened. I know we had Kay Bailey Hutchinson. I think was it Kay Bailey? Was it Kay Bailey Hutchinson?
Kansas
I think it was Kay
hasn't
Bailey
had,
Hutchinson.
I don't think Kansas hasn't had a blue senator in
No,
since but way before either one of us were alive. So come on, Hamilton. Come on, Adam Hamilton. We need you to win.
Yeah, okay, it was Ann Richards. I don't know why I said Kay Bailey Hutchinson. Ann Richards. She was the last Texas governor that was a Democrat. And it's been almost 30 years. And I think Ken Paxton is a uniquely dislikable character. I think when you look at the fact that he flew over to Europe during the 4th of July celebration stuff, the fact that he's got the 10 houses thing going on right now, the fact that he may have illegally voted, I say may have, it is an allegation, but still nonetheless, he has allegation after allegation after allegation. There's been places where he has done interviews, and anytime they ask him about Tallarico, he runs. It's yet to be seen if he's going to even do a debate with Tallarico. And I think Ted Cruz is even acknowledging, like, hey, we're in trouble in Texas. So I think we're going to do a great job. I'm looking forward to it. And I hope that something that we can do with the Liberal Action Network is, and I'm going to try to make sure after, I think Wisconsin's the next big race right now. I want to try to see if there's any way we were able to get, some kind of a door knocking campaign or even just some phone banking or something that we were able to do in the Liberal Action Network to really push for Texas.
If I was in Texas, I would personally knock on people's doors. By the way, I want to understand the mind of a Texas conservative, because you were.
Yeah.
Why the fuck did you not? Why did you vote for? Why the fuck did they vote for fucking pedo protecting Paxton over their current guy, Cornyn? Yeah. Mr. Cornyn.
Yeah, so a lot of it has to do with the deep MAGA base. This is what I'm saying is that even though you would think with Trump being uniquely terrible, Trump's endorsement goes a long way. Ultimately, Trump endorsed Paxton over Cornyn because of Cornyn pushing back on Trump. And it's interesting to note, too, that when Cornyn was no longer running, man, he really started to push back against Trump. And that says a lot. That says a lot, because I think what it shows is that Cornyn decided, I'm not going to participate in this anymore, and I'm just going to, I'm out in November or January, so I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to go and be on my merry way. And so the reason why is simply Trump. It's very,
why does
and this
Trump
is
have this much of a chokehold on the Republican Party? Like, he's like their Jesus Christ.
I can tell you why. So
golden staff, golden cap. This is ridiculous. I don't fucking get. I'm sorry, but
you're good.
I'm on a rant. I watched the guy on TV when I was a kid. I watched his show Apprentice. I wanted to be like him because he was rich, and I want to be rich, right? I didn't know anything else about him other than he was rich and was on TV. Had these beautiful women around him, and everyone knows he put his name on everything. Yeah. Why the fuck? But when I hear him talk, he's not smart. He's a good salesman, but he's not smart. Why the fuck do people stay with him all these years later, knowing that every single, their lives are fucked over, right? Donald Trump signs the "fuck you and I hope you die" bill, and his supporters clap like fucking train seats.
Yeah, it's because at the end of the day, Donald Trump, it's the sunken cost fallacy, which basically means you have literally sunken so much cost into Donald Trump, where you have given him your money, you've given him your time, you've given him your attention for the past 10 years. You've defended him every which bit of the way. And I think that this is another reason why I say that it's a cult, because at the end of the day, you're going to say, okay, I've now given everything I can to Trump. What can I now do to make sure I'm not losing my money, that I'm not losing my support? And imagine, the thing to think about, and it's hard to believe this because it feels like a blip. It's a long time. Imagine you were there when Trump came down those escalators and you started to support him in 2016. It has now been over 10 years. 10 years that you have supported this man. And now, and it's important to understand too, the conservative ideology is that there's an image of a liberal, right? When we talked about earlier about liberals and kind of how that stigma has come, there's also an image thing that conservatives do, which is a liberal has a negative connotation, not just because of the ideologies, but rather also because of the image, the literal physical image of what a liberal is: the septum piercing, the blue hair, the screaming at the top of your lungs, the protesting, the ACAB. And that's the image of essentially an masculine kind of character. And the reality is that the most masculine people I have ever seen are liberals. But that has been ingrained ever since you're little. Anytime you hear about a liberal, it's like, oh, you're a liberal because you're crying, right? You want a participation trophy? You're a liberal, right? And there's this stigma that gets built around it growing up. So in order to go away from Trump, that means that you're going to become emasculated. You're going to end up being outed from your group. It's like, I mean, I know this is hyperbolic, but in so many ways, it's almost like as if you're coming out of the closet. Like it's that kind of, I mean, it's that much weight to be like, hey, guys, I'm actually a liberal. Like you're going to get
You're
the questions.
Liberal. You're a fucking liberal. Everyone point and laugh at the liberal. Oh, there's a meme that I have.
I mean, it's gnarly, the stigmatization that has happened because of it. So that's why Trump has such a strong hold, because the alternative is too scary for them to even try to embrace. I faced a lot of backlash back in 2020 and 21. So I've been online for the past 6 years doing debate content in some form or fashion. I was actually, I have my own little self-brag. I was there when panels were first created in old school Twitch poll days in 2020. And I used to be pushback. I mean, there were conservatives that come in. I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that. Oh, you're a liberal? I'm like, listen, I'm not a liberal. I don't.
This is basically what I'm going to show you the meme.
Show me, yeah.
This is basically what it's like to be someone who's not MAGA in a room full of Republicans. You see, these are all the MAGA people, and this is you. You're the one who pisses yourself, right? All of these people pissed in the pool, and you're there knowing better, and you're attacked for knowing better.
Yeah.
This is basically what is like to be a liberal around MAGA. So.
Yeah,
I'm trying to bring people out of the MAGA shit, right? Like, I'm pro-capitalist as fuck. Well, like a social democrat-ish kind of way. Like, I believe in like increased social safety nets, but in general, I believe in private markets. I believe in capitalism. I believe in freedom. I'm not a far left commie. I will never go to far left commie because I also have a decent amount of people I know who are far left commies. And even, unfortunately, I know a few tankies as well. But I'm a liberal. I'm going to stay liberal. That's why I joined the LAN.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the Liberal Action Network is incredibly well. There's been a lot of misinterpretations about it already that I have seen. I've gotten some feedback from other people who look at it in a very negative light. And I think at the end of the day, it's really not what people think it is. I liken it to where, prior to me starting politics, there was prior to doing politics, I was a part of a gaming community where we would meet up at certain cities throughout Texas, and we would get together, have a good old time, socialize, drink, whatever. And I liken LAN to that. LAN is just a bunch of streamers, content creators, authors, whatever they may be, okay, coming together for a singular common cause, which is liberalism, and trying to help form a community. That's really what it is. It's not about doxing. It's not about being like the thing about Progressive Victory or the thing about the Tenant Network or whatever it was, or all those other ones. The difference here, we're not paid. I'm not paid. I'm certainly not paid. We are just essentially, right.
Anyone knows how to get that paper?
There you go. At the end of the day, we're here as a bunch of people with the same understanding, with the same issues that we've all faced, which is being ostracized from the left and just really trying to boost each other up. That's really just it at the end of the day. That's what I look for growing in this thing, and also trying to, again, the DSA has a platform. Why can't the liberals have some kind of a platform as well? And again, it's baffling to me that certain people that come into the Liberal Action Network are being like, people don't like certain people that are coming into this space, and they try to assign some sort of wild negative connotation that is just really not. Like, the Liberal Action Network is far from it. So, and I'm looking forward to it. And I have explained to people that there are things in the works that I'm sure Liberal Action Network is going to put out that is going to be public facing so that everybody can see it, what it is. And what it is not is, obviously it's not, because I've heard anything from like doxing, and I've heard from, oh, well, it's going to be, relentless. It's none of that. It's none of that. So, but I like it. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really awesome thing. We've had a lot of good content creators come in there, so I'm excited for it and seeing what it's going to produce moving forward. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to definitely be making some more content, some video essays.
There you go.
Check me out. Again, Pretty Boy GMD, Get Money Dre. Pretty Boy GMD at Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. I think I have a kick. If not, I'll make one. And you want to check yourself out, Vince?
Yeah, sure. I am the Vince Wilson Show. I stream primarily on YouTube. I do YouTube Shorts, TikTok. I also do Instagram Reels. I'm also on X. I'm on every platform you can find. So I'm pretty excited about what's to come. And if you want to find me on those platforms, you certainly can. But I appreciate you having me on, man.
I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Love to hop on your show sometime.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're more than welcome to. I stream Wednesdays and Fridays, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you ever want to jump on, you're more than welcome to. I'm still trying to refine my content a little bit as well. So totally cool. If you ever want to jump on, just holler and let me know, and I'll set up some time.
Hopefully this Wednesday I could
hop
on. If not Friday,
I'll message you and let you know. I should be good to go.
All right. I would love to get some of your views over here too as well.
Sure, absolutely. All right, sounds good, man.
All right, I'm gonna cut off the stream. Appreciate y'all tuning in.
Okay. All right, take care, man.
All right.